It has been a couple of months since I have dumped out my worm bin and really done a really solid check on it. I have been feeding them every 2 or 3 days. I've dug into it and keep an eye on it, but I haven't dumped it out for a couple of months. And I have had this worm bin for 3 months now, so it's time to check it and see if it is ready to do a complete reset or whether I'm just going to feed them and let it go for another month or two before I do a reset and pull some fertility out of my worm bin for my tiny gardens. So I am Vicky Manitou Okas. Welcome to this worm check, and I invite you to join us over at Delectable Tiny Gardens, where we support people on their development of sustainability, resiliency, and food security in tiny spaces. So let's get started. It's time to dump the worm bin out and stir it up a little bit and see what's going on in the worm bin all the way down to the bottom. So I have my worm bin set up in an old milk crate that has solid sides. Um, I did that several months ago, and there is the workshop that showed how I put it together in other places uh, in this space. So let's actually take a look at what's going on right now. So I got that uncovered, and I'm going to bring the camera down. And this is the tray that I'm going to use to dump the worm beds out. Okay, this is the milk crate, and I have this covered with newspaper screening and more newspaper to help keep critters out of it that I didn't want in it. So I'm just going to take this and dump it upside down. And dump it all the way out. Take a look at it. And you can see where that has not been stirred up. That is a bit of fungal growth there. Okay. But that's okay. Nice worms. Oh, looky there. Baby worms. Lots and lots of baby worms in there. There's the adults. Yeah, it needed to be. See, that's what the adults look like, and there's what the babies look like. So, what this is telling me is it's important to get all the way down to the bottom of the worm bin to make sure everything gets stirred up, because some of this stuff is dry at the bottom and some fungus growing in there, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt anything. But everything else is looking really good. There looks like the feeding is about the right pace for the worms. Okay. And there's a lot of good fertility in there. Lots of worms. Lots of babies. So that's all good signs. Every time I turn that soil over, I find more worms. So they're doing a good job of making more worms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this for about another month or two, about one more month. I'm going to feed it for another few days, few weeks, maybe 2, 3 weeks. And then I'm going to, after 2, 3 weeks, I'm going to stop feeding the worm bin and let the worms eat everything else that's in here. Look at that. Oh, nice fertility. Okay. And then after they've eaten everything that's in there, then I will get a new batch of bedding ready and migrate the worms to the new bedding so that I can so that I can use this for fertilizer for compost in the gardens. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so you can see there's some things in there from the last time I fed them. So what I'm going to do is, while it's in here, this is what I'm feeding them today. Crush up the eggshells from this morning, and the hard-boiled eggs this morning. Cut up the apple peelings. This is from breakfast. And I add a little bit of mushroom. I add the coffee grounds about once or twice a week. I add coffee grounds to this. And what I find is that they really like the fruit. They like squash. They like bananas. Okay, stir this in. Look at all those worms as I stir that in. Okay. And then I'm going to put this back into the crate where it was, and it's going to be good to go for another month or so. So like I said, I'm going to feed it for another, look at that tiny baby. I'm going to feed this for another 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'm going to let them eat everything that's in here and redo the bedding for them. There it is. I'll put back in this in their home. And cover it with a new piece of newspaper. And the screen helps keep things out of it that I don't want in it. It's not perfect, but it's helping. And another piece of newspaper, and it's all ready. Well, this is one look at what I do here at Delectable Tiny Gardens for my own personal sustainability and resiliency, and how I build living soils in my space and my gardens. So I hope you enjoyed the check on my worms, and we'll check back with this in a month or so as we use some of this or my fertility in my gardens. So like, subscribe, comment. What do you do for to create living soils in your space? How do you create good fertility in your gardens, your tiny gardens? So I would like to hear what your practices are. And then come and join us over at Delectable Tiny Gardens, where we can work on sustainability, resiliency, and food security together. Thank you, and we'll talk to you next time.